Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. As always, I get to be your host, Tony DeMakis with Alliance Specialties in Laser Sales, where we are mold makers that don't build molds. It's one of those ridiculous things that we say, but it's true. We are the people that work on the molds so that mold makers don't have to do it. We do all the additional things, the polishing, the laser welding, the laser engraving, hot runner repair, preventative mold maintenance, all of those sorts of additional services that need to be done that mold makers don't have the resources or the time to do. And that's a good thing for our guest today to talk about. He is a CNC instructor, and we'll get to that in a little bit because we need more mold makers and more manufacturers in the U.S. That's just a fact. And so we're going to get to all of those things. This is a live show. So when you see us make mistakes, which we were going to do from time to time, listen, it's not that we didn't want to edit it out. It's live, and it's live so that we can talk to you guys when you're watching and listening. And so if you have a question or a comment, or you just want to say that you're there and get some free marketing for your company and for yourself, then go ahead, put your name and your comment in the chat, and we will be happy to give you a shout out. Talk about your company and go over the questions that you have, because let's face it, I don't want to talk at people. That's boring. I want to talk with you. And so if there's something that you want us to talk about that you think we should discuss, then let's do that, right? Like share that information and let's talk about it. We are a company that likes to give back, and we try to do that in a number of ways. The first thing that we have going on is our annual golf outing. Our golf outing is coming up on September 20th. It is my wife's birthday. She's already forgiven me for choosing that day. And all the proceeds to that event go to our friends at iWarriors. iWarriors is an organization that gives combat wounded veterans iPads so that they can know that they're not forgotten about, right? So that they can work through things on that iPad. They can talk to their loved ones. They can go through PTSD tests and apps that are specific to the iPad. And so we have done this for the last 5 years, and it has been incredibly successful every year. Now, if you don't play golf, that's okay. Most of us suck at golf anyways. That's just the reality of what this is. And so we still want you to come out, and we want you to be part of it. It's a day full of networking. It's a day full of hanging out, donating money, giving to charity, making relationships, friendships, all of that. And all the proceeds goes to iWarriors. If you want to register to play or to sponsor, we want to see you there. It fills up fast. I think we already have 10 to 15 foursomes that have signed up. So you're going to want to join, and you're going to want to get in there quick. Just go to alliancelasersales.com/golf or scan the QR code that is on the screen right now, and you can get into that. And we hope to see you there. And thank you if you've already signed up. I really appreciate you. The other thing that we have is IMTS is coming up. IMTS is in Chicago this year. It is one of the largest machining shows in the country. That is September 9th through the 14th in Chicago, Illinois. We are still working on putting together our E210 event. That is a community outreach event that we do at all of the conferences or trade shows that we go to. Just our little way of giving back to the community, trying to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and pour some love into some people that need it. So if you're going to be at IMTS, stop by and see us. We're going to have some new equipment there, stuff that we have not launched yet. It's going to be an amazing time. And there will be some sort of community outreach event. We don't know what that is yet. While you're there, if you are looking for a laser welding or laser engraving system, and Made in America matters to you, and making a difference matters to you, then I want you to consider this. Every machine that we build and we sell, a portion of that sale goes to end the horrific disaster, tragedy, whatever you want to say, that is human trafficking. Every sale that we make with one of our machines, a portion of that sale will go to the Tim Tebow Foundation to help eradicate human trafficking. And so you can help with that. You can be part of that experience. If you're buying a machine anyways, I mean, you might as well buy it from us, and then we get to make a difference. Doesn't that count for something? I think it does. I think that is an amazing thing. And the last thing that I want to talk about, and your way to make a difference while you're listening today, is helping out today's guest. Today's guest is Brian Warren. We're going to bring him in a little bit. But what we really want to let you be made aware of is that Brian's son Jake is struggling with pediatric cancer right now, and they have a GoFundMe page up where they're just trying to raise some money so that they can equip the house and get it ready for the things that little Jake needs and that their family needs. And so if you have an interest in doing that, I'm going to say thank you in advance. Brian will come on and talk about that a little bit more. I was just talking to him offline, and it's amazing the support that he was talking about that they are getting. And so if that's something that you want to do, there's another QR code. It'll be up for the remainder of the show. You can just click on that QR code and you can make a donation of any amount. Everything helps. Everything goes directly to the family. We have nothing to do with this. This is Brian's GoFundMe page. And so that's just a way that we can say, Brian, we care about you, and we hope that everything goes well for you and your family. We have some upcoming shows. We have a lot of things booked out. We're really excited about today. We have Brian Warren joining us. He is an instructor at Meridian Community College, CNC instructor. And then on August 14th, Mitch Free is going to join us on the 21st. I think it's the 21st. We may have to make an adjustment there for some scheduling things. Jack is going back to school. So, we got to take him to school. I think Jacob will understand. We're either going to do it the day before, day after, or we'll record it and then, post it on that day. August 28th is David Ramirez. I have him on there twice. I guess I made a mistake. September 4th is Justin Ewald from the TMA. And on the 11th, we're going to have a surprise guest. We're either going to be doing this on the IMTS floor, or we'll figure something out, but it's going to be a lot of fun. The 18th is Amanda Walden. And then on the 25th is my friend Rich Teal. That is not his company. I made another mistake. That's, I've already said I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes from time to time. And I just hope that you forgive me when I do that. So that's all the things that we have going on right now. Jack, I'll get that. There you go. That's all the things that we have going on right now. I'm sure there's going to be more coming up. But you didn't hear me. You didn't come here to hear me rambling on and on about all of those things. I'm going to bring in our guest. Our guest is Brian Warren. He is an instructor at Meridian College, a CNC instructor. And we're going to talk about all those things that you guys are trying to figure out. How do we figure out what the next generation of students is looking for? How do we get more people involved in manufacturing? What are the things that they're learning? The questions can go on and on. So if you're standing by and you're listening, go ahead and put those in the chat. Let us know that you're there so that we can talk to you and hear what's going on. Brian, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We've been talking about this for a little while, and I'm glad we were able to make time to do it. You seem to have quite the LinkedIn following there.
Yeah, that has really grew. I had one of the accounts that was created for me by LinkedIn for years, and I never used it. And I got on it probably around 2020, 2021. And there was one particular post about, it was during that time where all you heard was about the current generation negative. Everything was negative about them. So I had a student here that was just a hard worker. He was a go-getter, and I saw him cleaning the machine, and I said that'd be a good picture. And I took the pic, and while I was walking back to the front of the shop, I typed it up on the fly, and it ended up going as close to viral as a little community college program in Mississippi could get.
Yep.
Our phones were nearly dead by the end of the day from people messaging about wanting to hire him, and I think I had around 150 connections that day, and it jumped up to 500 by the end of the week. And I actually have a bet going on with Juan Pena right now. If I get to 5,000 followers by the end of the year, I got to do a swimsuit calendar. So,
Wait. It's all you in swimsuit?
yeah. So I made a joke that, say, hey, if I get to 5,000 by 2025, I'm going to do a swimsuit calendar, and it's going to be form fitting and very disturbing. And
Oh, so are we talking Speedo? Are we talking like give us, is it going to be like different suits for different months? What is it going to look like?
well, I hope I don't have to do it. But
Well, how many followers are you at right now?
it's getting dangerously close. It's over 4,800. So,
All right. And over 40, over how many?
4,850. I think what I'm at.
So if
So
we get 150 more followers, you have to do a swimsuit calendar.
it's looking like it, because he called me out on it and challenged me. But it's all going to be dependent on permission from the wife. So,
well, see, now I feel like once you make a bet, then the wife's permission kind of goes off the. I mean, you can't rely on that anymore.
I mean, you just can't welch out. You can't.
That's the thing. Like when I was in, we go to New Orleans every year on a mission trip, and the guy that runs the mission trip, his son they're from Wisconsin, so he's a big Packers fan. I'm a Bears fan, right? You can see I got Urlacher, I got Peyton, I got I'm a Bears fan, and so my cockiness got the best of me, and I thought Justin Fields was going to be better than Jordan Love, and I bet him that, and he had long hair, and I bet him that if the Bears sweep the Packers, that he had to shave his head, and he bet me that if the Packers get swept by the Bears, I can't cut my hair for a year. So I can't get a haircut till January 8th, and the flow is coming along. It's fine. It's great. But my wife was like, come on, can't we just write them a check? This is ridiculous. You don't do this. And I said, I'm a man of my word. I made a bet. I can't squelch on the bet. I got to do what I said I was going to do. And she said, that's a stupid bet.
Well, I'll tell you, I told my wife, Marsha, if I could still grow hair, I would grow it down to my back. I would be like Fabio walking around here. Just because what you can't do it anymore, you miss it. So
I'm sure. Sure. I have a lot of hair. When I told the barber what I was going to do, he was like, "Wait, you have a mane? That's going to be ridiculous." But so far I don't hate it. It's getting a little unruly. It's fine. It's fine. It's a thing. So just so you know, we got you a little bit closer. David Ramirez says he just started following you. So I don't know if you need to start finding suits or what that's going to look like. But good for you. And Michelle Cruchel, she's one of our solution specialist sales team members. She said she's ready to send her address for the calendar. So
I'll say probably that would be a good reverse fundraiser for me. Is like send money, or I will send you a calendar.
Well, I guess you'll have enough time to figure out, like, do I got to try and get in shape? Do I need to just let it all out?
Just rock that dad bod all the way.
And so, here's the money maker for you. Ready? I got your money maker. You got 12 months. So you sell each month to a different corporate sponsor, and you put their logo on the bathing suit.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Because this is the thing. And then you talk to Fox News and you go, my son loves Fox News. Will you help us tell this story?
Oh, yeah. I have been trying my best to get someone at Fox to notice that Jake loves watching them. So, hopefully that's going to come through.
Listen, anybody know anybody at Fox News? Let's get them hooked up and get this thing figured out, because that would be amazing to get this story out there.
I'll say, actually, I was talking to him this morning on the phone, and his doctor says something about we should get a profile pic of him watching Fox. Because he does it on his own, and he'll sit for 10, 15 minutes before he'll scroll through, to something else. So it's amazing. And that's all my wife said. Well, he's definitely your son. And I said, sports and news is about all I watch. So
yeah. Well, it's it's great, and we can go through all of that stuff and catch up on it entirely. I'm sure we will. I mean, it's an
Yeah.
important part of what we're talking
Hmm.
about, and probably the focus of your life right now.
Yeah.
Um, how did you get into what you're currently doing? How did you get into manufacturing as a whole, and then becoming an instructor for the industry?
So I grew up, great parents, but we were didn't have a lot of money. So I knew in eighth, ninth grade that I was not going to be able to go to a university. No matter what I did in high school. I mean, I had decent grades, but not good enough to get a full blown scholarship. And even if I did, I wouldn't be able to survive when I got there. I mean, I didn't have a way. I didn't have a car that I could drive more than 100 miles. That would make it. So I finished school, went to work, and it didn't take me long working in a steel plant. That I said, okay, well, I want to try to go to college and do something at the community college. So I was working a shift that was around, I think it was around 5 in the afternoon to 4:15 in the morning, and that was mandatory Monday through Thursday, and then you went back to work Friday, and so they wanted you to volunteer on Sunday. So I was making really good money, for my age at the time, being 18, but I knew I didn't want to do that forever. So I came up to Brining Community College, the same college that I'm working at now, and I may not speak it, but I can write it. I had really good test scores in English, and so I told him I wanted to do something in the shop, and he's like, oh, well, your test scores, you can do. Yeah, he's basically naming off a bunch of general ed stuff that would lead to a university, and I was like, no, I need to go to work. I got to make a living. And my dad worked for a local auto parts store my entire life. And
Yep.
I would ride my bike up to the store. And in the back of that store, there was always a little sign hanging off the building that said machine shop. So I was interested in it, from an early age. And, of course, having the inside man there, I could go check it out. So it was an automotive machine shop. And, I'd hang around and kind of watch what they do. And, and then when I was a teenager, I got real big into cars and I like, engines. And so I saw they had a machine shop program, and it wasn't a competitive program to get into. It was just, they were begging for students. So I breezed right in. I did one semester, and I said, okay, well, it's a 4 semester program altogether, but me being so bullheaded, I wanted to go ahead and start work immediately. So I went around town asking shops, could I come to work after school part time, to get some experience. So after 1 semester in the program, I was thrown on a lathe in a local job shop and failed miserably. Um, I was not ready. They were doing a lot of castings, and the only kind of indicating I'd ever did was with a dial indicator. And they were actually dialing it in with railroad chalk.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so you kind of had to hold the chalk and and get it trued up. And I had no clue what I was doing. So they, I'd only been in school about 14 weeks at the time, and so I got humbled really quick, and I got downgraded to the saw guy. And then I moved up from there to the drill press, and they put me on something a lot of people's probably never heard of these days. It's called a key seater. And it just cut internal keyways, a very old fashioned style. The machine was from the 20s. It was very dangerous. But I eventually worked my way, by the time I graduated, I'd worked my way back up to the lathe and the mill. And by the time I left there, I was, I was a full blown machinist, quoting jobs and everything. And um,
How long was that? What was the year range? What was the gap between when you first got interested and then went through all your trials to get to being a full blown machinist, doing quotes and the whole 9 yards?
it was about 5 years for me. And,
Okay.
and it was due to attrition. There was an older gentleman there that took me under his wing, and when I got moved from the saw, that he's the one that started working me back into going back to the lathe. And the first 3 months of that, I did nothing but sharpen drill bits manually and grind his brazed carbide tools for him and high speed steel just how he wanted it. He was very old school, full of knowledge. Um, and first one there, last one to leave. So I
Yep.
started getting there a little early, hanging around with him, it was we had this locker room with a shower upstairs, and this building was built sometime in the 1890s. I think it was the first place in the city of Meridian to ever have hot water because they used to run on steam.
Okay.
So this shower looked like something from a horror movie. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'll take a shower when I get home. But he had his own locker, and he'd go up there every afternoon, take a shower, get his hair greased up, slicked back, head down to the local bar when he got off work, and probably made a few bets or something,
Yep.
he'd go home, eat a sandwich, and come back to work. And one day he just didn't show up for work,
Mm.
and that was highly, highly unusual for him. So we were all asking about him, and the owner said, "Well, I'm gonna call and check on him." And he called him. He said, "I can't see." He woke up that morning and just could not see. So he told us that, and he told us what hospital he was in, and that night I wanted to go up there and see him.
Yeah.
So I went in to see him, and this was, around 1998, 1999, or where we're smoking in public places, where it had
Yep.
just kind of started getting weaned out. And he was a 2 or 3 pack a day smoker, So first thing he said to me, he was mad about, not getting a cigarette. and, and he was in bad shape. So I went to the nursing station. I said, "Hey, can I take him outside?" Yeah. And she said, "Are you family?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm the son." And and the students, that know the hospital now, just they mind blown by it. But I wheeled him out with his IV. He smoked 2 cigarettes, talked a little bit, and he passed away the next morning.
Wow.
And um, and um, and then I went over to his machine after that. So I wanted to do the best I could, to honor him, for what he had taught me. And just started getting more confidence and started getting more aggressive. It's like, okay, they're taking 100 to the side. I believe I could push this to 150. I can get done faster. And just started, kind of like the titan of manual machines, for the late 90s, early 2000s, just seeing what I could do on these machines, and really increase productivity for myself by a lot. And I was doing the work of 2 machines with one for a long
Sure.
time there.
Sure.
So
Are you seeing, I mean, now you're working at the college, right?
I am.
Are you seeing the college age kids have the same kind of, I guess, drive and desire and heart that you had when you were starting up? Meaning, like, you know, um, I see a lot of younger people. They want to be promoted quickly. A lot
Hmm.
of times, right? They don't want to sit in that space where you said that you sat for a little while, where it was
Yeah.
sharpening tools and just doing, the quote unquote grunt work,
Yep.
that helped you probably, and you tell me if I'm wrong, to appreciate all the finer parts of running the CNC and being a machinist. You got all that because you spent all that time in the grunt stages, in the learning
Hmm.
and the apprentice stages, to get to where you are today. Do you find that students today have that same ability to sit in that space, or do they want to move forward quicker?
Uh, there's definitely a sense of instant gratification, and that's part of the times. That's not the case with all the students.
Of course.
There are some who are perfectly willing to do the grunt work, pay their dues, but there is a sense of entitlement that comes along with this generation. That some people do not want to pay their dues and be the operator. They want to start at the top. I remember a couple of years ago, I had a student told me he applied for a senior machinist position,
Okay.
and I said, what? He said, oh well, Indeed said I was qualified for it. I said, well, you put the information into Indeed. I said, how are you going to be a senior machinist with no experience? So you know, school counts as some experience, but it's not work experience, and it's not the same. And I still believe in. I mean, this field, machine in particular, there's no ceiling. I mean, you can take it as far as you want to go, but you can't start at the top and be successful. And when I try to place the students, which that's one thing I do, is I'm hands on with every one of them, trying to find them the right spot
Sure.
to start their first job at. And there's some places I know that's going to be more patient with them. They're going to train them. They're going to take the time and let them learn and grow. And there's some students I know that's best suited for that. And there's some that I know that they're going to want them to come in, maybe get a couple of days training and start running. And so I know the ones that I think can do that. But it is a different generation, and I'm not real sure if working in a hot shop, for low pay would really be appealing. If I would have as many students now, I'd be kind of like the instructor was when I was a student in the program. There wasn't very many people in the program at all. I think there was less than 10 when we started, and we probably finished with, I think it was 3.
Okay.
Because just the pay was low, the work was hard, and nowadays, with the pay is really shot up, and that helps me, attract a lot more students. But what's attracting them more than anything else are my students. If you're doing a good job for your students, and they see you actually care about them, and you're trying to get them the best possible outcome when they graduate, they will bring you more students. They're going to tell people about it. Their moms and dads are going to tell their friends about it. So recruiting hasn't been a real big problem for me over the last 10 years, just because of the student success program, the success stories we have for students going out there.
How many students would you say you typically have? Like going into this upcoming year, what are you looking towards for your classes?
The last 3 years, we've started with just over 30.
Okay.
Which is a well above average for our state for our machining program. And it's still me by myself. So we went from a program, in 2010. We might have had 15 total students between first and second year. Now we're getting on up to, I think it was 2022 year. I started with 35. That was the most I ever had, and
Wow.
that was a little bit too much. And when you start having too many, the instruction gets diluted. Material and time gets spread out a little thin. So this time I am going to cap at 30. And I just signed up number 29 today, and number 30 better get on the ball because he's my nephew. So I've been talking to his mom this morning. He's waiting on a transcript. So he's already working in a machine shop about an hour and a half away from here. But he's the saw guy, and he wants to move up. So he wants to come to school and leave there on good standing, be able to come back, with a little more training behind him. So
And that's awesome.
So,
And I'm sure it's one of those things where if you go to your employer and you say, listen, I want to improve my skills so I can bring better for you. They're going to let him go, especially if he wants to work some weekends or, evenings. That was the other thing that you said that made me kind of chuckle, was that idea. Like, we are expected to volunteer on the weekends.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
it's crazy how times have changed when you say that, right? Like that's not a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of those situations where they'll ask, but you better say yes.
Yes. Yes. It's like being voluntold.
Uh-huh.
We need to, and times have changed in that regard where people don't want to be at work as much. I think more people want to be home. The almighty dollar is not as important as it once was to people.
Yeah, and I'll say one of my favorite books is it's an old book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill,
Okay.
and so that kind of gets me in the mindset where I'm going is the phrase lean and hungry.
Yeah.
Um, when I was their age, I was lean and hungry. I knew that I had to get out and make a living, or I would not survive.
Yep.
And it's not that I was being kicked out at 18 or anything, but I mean, I I I just had that mindset where that I knew nothing was going to be given to me, that I had no breaks. I had to do something to earn my keep and make a living for myself. I didn't want to be 40 years old living in my parents' house, and which they probably wouldn't have let me stay there anyway. But I went out on my own at 18, and I never had to go back home. Now, I see people that 30. I mean, I know some people I went to high school with that still live with their parents. Never got on their own.
Now,
And
I understand if you go through some stuff, right?
yeah,
You get a bad divorce or something. Your wife
yeah,
takes half your stuff. You can't get your feet back underneath you. You go
mhm,
move back in with your parents. But at some point, don't you want some of your own space? Like just, you know, I know I did. When
yeah,
I went off to college and I came home and I lived with my parents for a little while. Met my wife in college, and the goal was I'm going to stay with my parents long enough to be able to buy a house and get out. Right? That was it. Not because I didn't love them, like they bought the food, they did all the
yeah,
stuff, but at some point you become a man and you need to move out and you need to go
yeah,
do your own stuff.
yeah. And my mom and dad are great parents. They're even better grandparents. But I could not live with them. Um, and they, they get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, even when you don't have to.
Yep.
Pots and pans are banging around. Arguing is flirting. You know, you know. So yeah, I was like, and I'm so set in my ways now that they wouldn't want to live with me. So,
Right.
so
Right. My
yeah,
dad jokes like, I'm gonna come stay with you guys. I'll stay in the basement. I'm like, I listen, I don't know if that's gonna work out as well
yeah,
as you think it's gonna work out.
yeah,
We have this joke where, he likes to go out and putts. He bought property in Macomb, Illinois, like down south. And my brother has a sign shop that he runs out there. So he's helping out with that and doing different things. And my dad's not old. He's fully capable. He's,
mm,
78, something like that. It's not like he's pushing 100. And my grandma's
yeah,
102. So we've got longevity in our blood.
yeah,
But I was talking to friends and I said, I don't want to have to go through those periods where, like, Dad, you can't drive anymore. Dad, you can't do this anymore. Dad,
mm,
you can't, because it would kill him.
yeah,
And so I was talking to him and I said, here's what I hope. You're going to get old and you're going to get frail. And I hope that you end up killing yourself, a trailer falls on you, or you have a hunting accident or something, so that I never have to say, Dad, you can't do that anymore. Like,
yeah,
go out the way that you want to go out. Not like that he's going to like hang himself. That would be tragic and horrible. But just like, he's doing his stuff. He's putzing. He's putting a camper up. He's hanging a tree stand or whatever that looks like. And something happens. And then you don't have to worry about it anymore. The way it's
yeah,
supposed to happen.
yeah. Yeah. Me and Marsha's been having this argument because she wants me to go to the doctor,
Oh,
and
is there
I don't
something
want to go.
wrong with you or is it precautionary?
Well, it's blood work and all, but I say wake up some mornings, back hurts, shoulder hurts. She's like, you need to go get your labs. Because she's a nurse. So so one thing I can't stand is waiting in a waiting room. And it's even worse because you wait in the waiting room, then they call you and you're like, oh well, I was chosen, and it's my time, and then you go back and you wait in an even smaller waiting room, then to a smaller room to wait, and that's kind of what I was telling her. I was like, if something's wrong with me, I don't want to know. I just want to, you know, because whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'll deal with it when the time comes. But I don't want to ruin all the days in front of it worrying about it.
I don't disagree with you, but I also like I'm on the fence. I
Yeah.
feel both of those because my mom had lymphoma, and I'm really glad that we found out because she was able to get everything done that she needed to get done, and she's in remission, and it's great.
Mhm.
There's some people that they're not fortunate to have that happen, and then they
Yeah.
just like you said, it ruins all the days from that day forward
Yeah.
with all the stuff, and I fall like in between with that where I'm like, I don't really want to know if there's a thing. I think I'll be fine, but
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll just see what happens. And I know that's not medical advice. I'm not giving any medical advice to anybody watching. I'm just telling you me. That's my situation.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
I don't go to the doctor unless I'm like really, really sick or injured. We've got a good friend of ours who I go to for some advice because she's in the medical profession. So I feel like that counts. That's my doctor. And this is a gross story, but I think it's funny. There was one time I had some blood in my stool. I don't know, that happens from time to time. Don't tell me it doesn't happen. And I made a mistake and I called her and I told her and she said, Tony, you need to go get a test immediately. And I was like, okay. I probably shouldn't. She's like, I will be working in the ER all day. You can come see me and we'll get this taken care of. And I was like, listen, I love you for wanting to help in this situation, but no, like you're not inspecting this part of my body. This is off limits for our friendship. That's not going to happen. And she thought I was crazy for saying that. And she was like, I've seen them before. That's nothing new. And I was like, yeah, but you haven't seen mine. That's going to change our friendship on one end. And I can't have that.
Yeah, I'll say, it made it worse for me because, when she was working, my doctor, she was his nurse. So, he always comes in, I come in, get my, prescriptions or check up, whatever. And he'll say, so how is everything? Oh, it's fine. Everything's fine. And he'll say, well, you haven't had any of this. And I'm like, she's been talking to him.
He's got inside data. This isn't fair.
Yep. So they scheduled me for a colon exam or something.
Colonoscopy?
Yeah. It's supposed to happen in April. And and this was before everything happened with Jake. And the best news I got that year was they called and said, "Hey, our doctor left, and we're going to have to reschedule you. Please give us a call back and get a schedule." I said, "Oh yeah, I'll call you back." Never. But she's probably watching this, and now she'll be on me to call and reschedule.
Well. There's other things that you got to worry about right now.
Yep.
So you take it one day at a time. Right? I mean, you don't want to have two medical things going on at one time. It's better to just go with one.
Yep. And keep everything in front of you.
That's it. Kathleen Burley wants to know if she can follow you twice to up those numbers. I don't know if that's cheating. I mean, I'm sure Alliance can follow you, and we can up these numbers little by little. And my friend Richard Thiel, I got it wrong before on the on the who's coming up on the show soon. He is at Standard Cutting Solutions. He owns Standard Cutting Solutions. So I don't know, Brian, if you need new cutting tools, but Rich is a great guy to talk to about that. And he's actually watching. He'll be on the show in a few weeks talking about his company and what they got going on. So, good guy to know.
Check him out.
Yeah, he was saying, or like Matthew McConaughey's dad. What happened to Matthew McConaughey's dad?
That I don't know.
Rich, you're going to have to give us some more input here. I don't know what happened. Or Jack will look it up for us and tell us what happened. So what does it look like for you? I'm going through some of the things that we wanted to touch base on. Okay. What does it look like for you to have success through industry partners? I mean, I'm sure that you're trying to find people to work with working at a school.
Oh yeah. And so we're in a unique situation where this program, by community college standards, most places would not exist here. And we're the largest machining program in the state. But out of all the cities in the state, we have the least machining jobs. So it was important to me to develop industry partnerships early on, and probably, I say I came here in 2005, and about the first 7 years, nothing special. We just did the worst thing you could do, is do it like it's always been done. Follow the
Yes.
curriculum. It was mostly a manual program. And this is about the time me and my wife were getting married in 2012. And I come home one day and I told her, I am sick of what I'm doing at work. And she said, "What, are you going to find another job?" I said, "No, I'm going to do this job different." And
Yep. Yep.
I put together a 4-inch binder of everything that I thought that we needed to know, because the curriculum was lacking, and manual machining was still important, but CNC was definitely something that we needed to expand on, and
Sure.
not just other technology, CMM, GD&T, inspection. So I put together this 4-inch binder. I said I'm going to spend all my time uh, developing a new way to teach this, and in 2013 I implemented it, and I just did it. I've always been somebody. I've never been scared to fail publicly. I'll fall flat on my face, and if it don't work, I'll figure out another way. But
Man, that's what
so
this show is.
yeah, yeah. So 2013 we entered Skills USA competition for the first time. Um, Nobody knew who we were, and we were probably expected to just get annihilated, and somehow won.
Awesome.
So we won the state, and then we got to nationals. It was in Kansas City, Missouri. Had no idea what nationals was going to be like, and my student ended up coming in 8 out of 31.
Wow.
So I said, well, yeah, we did pretty good. So we did it. We did it again the next year, and then we went on a winning streak. And all of the 20 teens, we swept all of the Skills USA competitions in the state. CNC milling, CNC turning, CNC technician. We won them every year. So you talk about making you really popular with the other instructors. They absolutely couldn't stand us.
So what are you doing that's different? I mean, what is the typical class look like, and what are you doing that's different? Because that's got to be something that has to be shared and voiced, right? I mean, we're in Illinois. I don't know what the machine classes are like. There's not many in high school. There's a few high schools that have machining classes, and I know college is different. But what is it that makes your program different than what other people are doing?
So the biggest thing is getting the students to buy into it, where I'm not forcing them to do extra work or anything. It's all coming organically, and I'm doing that through industry connections, industry speakers, through LinkedIn. I'm getting all the students on LinkedIn, and they're seeing all the the big influencers and all to follow. And it's being passionate about it. Like you cannot fake. If when it comes to teaching students, you either have the heart or you don't, and you
Right.
can't fake it, and they can
Right.
tell that. You ever watch King of the Hill?
Yeah.
Hank Hill talking about propane.
Propane
Well,
and propane accessories.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm like that with machining. I mean, I really get into it, and it gets them into it, and before you know it, these students are sending you messages on Canvas and emails. Hey, did you see this video?
Mm.
And it's getting them to buy into it. That's the first thing to do. And then from that, I'm not, the curriculums. I don't know what they're like in they're different in every state, but they're all
Sure.
basically the same. They execute a program, set up an operation, load a program. And it's not really in depth. So I come up with challenge projects. We did the second ever Project MFG, when it was in a prototype stage. It was Auburn University first, and then here at MCC, and then LSU after that.
Okay.
I've never been afraid to put ourselves out there. This past year, we made a cube satellite as part of a NASA grant. It's going
Wow.
to be, hadn't no idea how to do it, but we had a set of plans. We had some engineering students from Mississippi State working on it, and so we're going to figure it out. We'll figure it out together. And so we've made some really cool stuff. The students have got a lot of publicity from it, and it's also, like instead of just being all about software and automation, I start out teaching them how to hard code, how to write it out, how to do it at the control. And I used to rely really heavy on that. I've kind of backed off and made it kind of like that's my intro to CNC now, and then we move into the software. But I still want them to be able to make basic programs on a lathe and a mill without software if they had to when they leave here.
Well, that makes perfect sense, right? You have to understand the foundation before you can just automate it, because you may just be automating a turd.
Yeah.
You have to know why you're doing what you're doing and how to do what you're doing before you just rely on the software to do what you're doing.
Yeah, and I say I've been out into some shops helping with their programs, and I've seen some operators that had no idea what is coming on the screen, how to edit, and to me, if I was a shop owner or a machine owner, that would scare me to death, having somebody running it that doesn't know what's about to happen.
It's a scary thing. Some of the things that we see that are like red flags for us is, we in our facility in Wakanda, we do a lot of mold repair and polishing. We're doing the finishing side of things. Well, when you have engineers who have never been mold makers, they're not our team. It's, customers that we've worked with in the past. You have engineers who have never been mold makers, and they say, we want A1 diamond finish on these parts, but you don't have any steel to work with. Like, it's already at tolerance. You can't do it. It's impossible. Yeah. Like, you're going to ruin this. Yeah. And by learning what you're talking about, right? Learning from the ground floor, what the theories and ideas and the actual, what the steel does, you're teaching them how to have success in the future.
Yeah. And we had a good learning experience like that with a Project MFG part. One of our students, he graduated 2 years ago. He's from North Mississippi, and his name is Elon Presley.
Okay.
Real close to Elvis Presley, and it might be a relative. But
he's got that good hip action, does he?
Yeah. And he was leading my side, and the engineering side had their leader, and they would talk. We'd have and me and the MSU instructor stepped out and let them handle it. And
oh, nice.
So and that was kind of, they both got a unique perspective from the shop floor side and the design side, because some things that's calling for a really, really tight tolerance, that does not have to be, just makes it more complicated and costly to make. And part of this was a design build challenge. We had to come up with a functional part that would be adopted by a company in Mississippi and put into production. So if it didn't if it didn't have to be that tight of a tolerance on this particular feature, why do it?
Right.
So they both were learning from it. So.
Right. And that's, I think when I asked the question about what makes your classes different, your training different, I think it's what you said before. It's the passion that you have for it. And I think your passion brings the students in and allows them to trust you, because you're not just some dude spouting stuff off because you can't get a different job or you want summers off. Mm-hmm. And so then you get to form the relationship, and then they trust you, and you come through with them in the competitions and finding other people jobs. And so you have all this built-in trust based on who you are and what you're doing. And now you can back it up because you've won these things, and it's not just some pipe dream. And you take the book and you throw it out and you go, okay, we're going to do this differently because what we have been doing isn't working. Yep. I agreed 100% with what you said. Like that, I hate that phrase that, it's the way we've always done it, so it's the way we're going to always do it. It's terrible. Like, stop it.
It doesn't work. And, which we go through curriculum revision processes, but you're going to have 15 different schools there that all want 15 different things. And it ends up being a compromise. And you're never going to get it how you want it, but as long as you cover the curriculum, who says you can't add to it? Yeah.
Of course, of
So,
course.
so we go that extra mile. So,
Yeah. Rich Thiel said he sent us a little message here. He said he loves me. I love you too, buddy. You're a good guy. Uh, and he wants to talk to you, Brian, about cutting tools. So if anybody's listening and they're looking for cutting tools, Rich is a good guy. He's just in Illinois. His email address is rich@standardcutting.com. And the email is standardcutting.com. And he will answer the calls and get to you right away. Good dude. And glad he's listening. Jack, did you find anything out about? You want to turn on your microphone and tell us what you found out here?
Yeah, so Matthew McConaughey's dad definitely went out doing something he loved.
Oh,
He went out while doing intercourse.
he went out and doing what?
Intercourse with his wife.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, that's a thing. That's a thing.
Kind of scary for her.
Yeah, that would probably be terrifying for her. That would.
yeah.
I mean, that ended well for one person.
Yeah.
That's basically it. How'd you like to get that call from your mother? Like, I think I killed your dad. Thanks, Rich. Can't wait for you to be on the show. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be a thing for sure. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Jake. How are you able to do this? How are you able to balance? I mean, work-life balance is something that we talk about all the time. How are you able to balance what's going on with Jake and fighting pediatric cancer and maintaining a focus on your job and your students and what you need to do? What does that look like?
It is extremely difficult. It's gotten easier with time. When it first happened, I mean, I couldn't even talk about it. It was.
How long has this been going on?
So it was September of 2023. We noticed a little bump on his arm, and didn't think much about it. I was getting him out of his car seat, and I saw a little knot on his wrist, and he fell down earlier that day. It could just be bruising, but it was still there the next day. And she took him to the local immediate care clinic, and it was basically they were drilling her about basically accusing her of child abuse, making sure she didn't do it to him. And they said, well, you need to go up to the hospital and get x-rayed. So they went up to the hospital and get x-rayed. And that was about a 9-10 hour, ordeal. And they come back and said, well, it's just a bruise. We can't find anything wrong with it. And but something was off about it to me, and especially her, because it was a bruise that didn't have a bruise, and it was getting bigger. So, well, we took him to his pediatrician, and his pediatrician is a great pediatrician, and he was immediately concerned and scared us right away. So and he didn't sugarcoat it. He said this could be cancer, and you need to go get checked out. So we had the appointment at the cancer center, and so we live in Meridian, Mississippi, and the Children's Cancer Center is in Jackson, Mississippi, about an hour and a half away. And I'd never been to that hospital, didn't know. It's a huge place. If you can walk in there and not feel something, then you need to check your pulse.
Yeah,
because you see some really horrific situations with kids in there, but they're happy. They're all happy. So
isn't that amazing? Isn't it amazing how like children are so awesome? How they can have joy in horrible situations. Like it's one of those things, right? Like Jesus says, "Come to me like children," and that's one of those pictures of it. It's just like. When you don't know what's going on, you don't know what's happening, you don't know how you're going to get through it, just trust me. Like find joy in your moment and trust me. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but I'll say it's a huge place. Didn't know where we was going, and I remember a distinct thought I had that day is I don't ever want to be familiar with this hospital. I do not want to ever be familiar with it. This is not cancer, and we're going to be out of here, and we're going to go get something good to eat when we leave here. We're
Yeah.
going to make a little trip out of it. So he went through 2 CT scans that day because the first one they couldn't see it all, and then it was a long, agonizing wait. About 2 hours in a little room. You're nervous, you're waiting. The doctor comes in and says that he doesn't think it's cancer. He thinks it's a hemangioma, which they'll call it like a strawberry mark. He said it's unusual to see it in a child this age, but it can be treated by a pediatrician or dermatologist. And so I remember walking out of there and just and you had to go through the checkout. She said, "Oh, do you need to make a follow up?" I said, "No, no." I was just so happy that to hear that news. And but the problem is that it kept growing and it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I was taking him. I didn't have classes on Fridays, and she was working. Her job was Monday through Friday. So I was taking him to his pediatrician once a week on a Friday, and we were measuring it, and it was growing a centimeter a week, and it had gotten very, very large by I think it was around that was September, so around Thanksgiving, and he was going to get us into to see a doctor. Because and this was a children's dermatologist named Dr. Sullivan, and I think she knew right away when she saw it what it was, but she didn't want to say, but she called us, and she did a ultrasound of it, and she said she couldn't tell definitely what it was, but she said there's a 2-month waiting period for an MRI, and she said he doesn't need to wait 2 months, and she said if you will allow me to, I will call and advocate for you like your family, and she'd already gave us her cell phone number and stuff before this, and she got him in on December 1st for the MRI, and December 8th they done the study and determined that it was cancer, and I say it was just a bad day.
Yeah. Sounds like a horrible day.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like the worst day I could possibly think of. Yeah. But at least you had a diagnosis.
Yeah, we had something to go by, and it and I say you ever seen on the movies where kind of like the world's going in slow motion around you.
Yeah.
Like everything's happening around you, but you just went in the morning basically, because you didn't know what was going to happen, and it all started fast. He had his first chemo about around Christmas. His hair started falling out, after the first one, just in big clumps, and we didn't really know what to do. So we were in a restaurant and people were staring, and So which it's still hard for me to talk about, but I'd say things got better as time went by. We held him down and shaved his head, and because the hair was falling out so fast he couldn't even eat. People were. It was falling in his food, so we shaved his head, and after the next one, all his hair had just completely went away anyway. But we just didn't know what was happening, what was going on. The day we went for the MRI, we thought she was just taking off work, and didn't know that was going to be her last day working. So because he was born with one kidney. So chemo is really hard on your kidney. So he had to be hospitalized for all his chemo because they had to keep a close watch on his kidney, and he had to get a day of fluids before he started, a day of fluids after, and so that meant that somebody's going to stay in the room with him. So she had to resign from her job, and at the time our house payment had just doubled from insurance, and I didn't know what we were going to do. I mean, I didn't, and everybody's saying, well, pack up and go to St. Jude. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a good hospital, and
Sure.
you don't have to pay for anything. But the problem is I didn't have 6 months of salary or a year of salary saved up, and I still had bills. We had to have something to come back to.
Sure.
And so we're going to, I said, well, you stay in hospital with him, I'll work. And, but it was really tough last year. And I spent the whole last part of the semester just apologizing to the students for not being myself, because I felt bad about it.
Yeah.
But
the beautiful thing is, through this situation with Jake, you've been able to see, God provide and God's blessing to you and your family in a number of ways. And I think that, as you're, this is the first time you and I are talking. So I'm guessing, just knowing you and the person that you are from this last hour and a half that, we've been chatting, those students were able to learn more from you in that year than any of the other students that you ever taught, because they were learning that, stuff happens in life. And when stuff happens, you still got to show up.
Yeah.
Right. You still got to show up, and you got to do your work, and you got to put your best foot forward, and you can't take all the stuff that you're dealing with and pour it onto other people and dump it on them. You got to show up, and you got to be the leader that you are, even when everything else seems like it's falling apart. And trust that.
And there were days where I didn't know, if I was going to be breathing still the next day. I mean, chest pounding, but when I'd walk in the door, I would do my best to leave it behind me.
Sure.
And people mean well, but they ask you, and you have to just explain it over and over and over every day, and sometimes I just had to step outside for a minute, because I just had to shake it off and come back in and think about what needed to be done. But we normally take trips and go see different plants. We didn't do any of that last semester, so I felt bad, but I'm hoping he is done with treatment this semester, and it can be over. He's got another scan coming up on the 22nd this month, because when they removed the sarcoma, they found 2 more in the tissue sample. So they're letting that scar up, and then he's going to have another surgery. But when he was first diagnosed, they would not tell me that he would live. They wouldn't say that. They were talking amputation. It's funny because I didn't grow up going to a church. Had bad experience with churches, and when I was early 20s, this guy I met through work, he was going to this big church here in town, and he was telling me about it. I said, "Yeah, I think I want to go," and so I started going to church, and then my mom and dad started going to church at a different church, but they started going. So then I fell out of church, and my mom and dad go to church every Sunday. So they got us back into church, and I was sitting there on Saturday night, and Jake had never been christened or anything, and it was the week before chemo was going to start. And I asked my dad, I said, I want to get Jake baptized this Sunday. He said, this Sunday, and and I was adamant. I said, it can't wait. I said, will you call the pastor and ask him? And he called him, and he asked, well, we're going to bring him to church regular. And I said, yes. I said, but he needs to be baptized. I said, right now. And they did it, and it happened to be on the second Advent Sunday, which is all about John the Baptist. And I can't say that that's the reason, but it never grew any larger after that. Which he started chemo, the day after, but I mean, it went from aggressively growing to it leveled out. And it never got any bigger. It started getting smaller.
So, I look at that's an amazing story, and I look at it and I say, you could try to figure out the reasons why. Right. You can dig in and you can say it was the chemo, it was this medication, it was that, it was this, it was the other thing. Man, whatever it was, God knows what it was, and it doesn't matter, right? What matters is like you went to church, you brought your son to church, you asked God to look after him, and God's looking after him. Whether it's the doctors making good decisions or the medication working or whatever it is, like, do you care? You just know that, like,
Just want it to work.
yeah, you want it to work, and it's a little bit of that comfort, and just knowing that God hears you, and that works out, and He brings you back to church when He wants you to come back to church. It's a thing.
And the whole ordeal has brought us as a family closer to God. And I went from being lukewarm to just going out sharing testimony. And it's changed my perspective on a lot of things. Which there have been times where I've had a mouth like a sailor.
Yes, sir.
Get mad and just let them fly. And I always said, well, they're just words. They're made with the same letters of the alphabet as any other word. Man come up with that construct that these words are bad. But
we can justify anything, can't we?
Yeah. But then I read a passage about profane. Where I say, okay, well, it's the context. It's not the word. It could be, any word we could decide as a society is a word you shouldn't say, but it's the context you're using it in, and you're letting that profanity come out. So I have tried my best to watch my, for the first time in my adult life, watch my mouth, what comes out. And it's just changed my outlook on everything. I'm a little kinder, a little more gentle, and more understanding, more patient. And you just think about, how would Jesus want me to handle this right now?
Yeah.
Should I explode or should I just let it go?
Yeah.
And I'll give you a good example of that. We were driving somewhere in a town I wasn't familiar with, and I went across this crazy intersection, didn't know what to do, and I kind of tapped my brakes in it because I saw another vehicle coming at me, and the guy behind me honked the horn, and then he drove by us and flipped us off. So, like, my wife, she's a Cajun, she's fiery. She's like, hey, pull up beside him. I was like, it don't matter. I mean, it really don't. I said, we're going to argue. We probably both got firearms in the vehicle. This is not going to end well. Let it go. I said, in the grand scheme, it's not hurting us at all. He wants to be a miserable person. Let him be a miserable person. I'll pray for him.
And that's really it, right? Like, you don't know what that other person is going through. That other person might have just gotten the same news that you got. Right.
Yeah.
You don't know. You don't know what they're going through. And so, like, just being, like you said, being able to, like, how would Jesus really like me to handle this current situation? That thing that you said about, this has brought you closer to God and bring you to church. That's what happened with me when my mom got diagnosed with lymphoma. That was like my literal come to Jesus moment.
Yeah.
It's changed my life for the better. And, I was able to teach our youth group a couple weeks ago, and I said, I never thought I would say this, but I thank God for cancer. It's changed my life. Without that being a situation, man, I would be so far from God still. And so, He uses the things that are going to get our attention, whether that's, your son or, it depends on what it is for the different person. But
and I say, and Jake, learn stuff from me, but I'm learning just as much from him. And you can watch him, which spending his developmental years in a hospital bed is confined to it. Is not good. He's behind a lot of things, but he understands. Even though he may not vocalize it, he understands you. And and sitting watching what he's going through, I can imagine how just a bad of a patient and difficult I would be for people to deal with. And no matter what is happening to him, when that nurse leaves that room, he could be in the middle of just screaming, and he's going to stop and say, "Bye, love you, miss you," And I was on FaceTime with him last night, and I tell you that this boy will steal your heart. There were three nurses in there just scratching his back and bringing him blankets. And I mean, they
Yep.
just pampering him, and he's just eating it up. I mean, just and he has got to be in pain most of the time.
Sure.
He's nauseated. He has it causes ulcers in your mouth, jaw pain, everything tastes bad. But he's still smiling. He's still finding ways to mess with his mom because he watches me. I'm bad about doing practical jokes to her, and he likes to grab her phone and run away with it and have her chase him or
Go put Fox News on.
yeah. She's in the kitchen one day, and I walked by and just kind of tapped her on the behind when I walked through, and then about 2 minutes later, there comes Jake. Pop, and she's Brian. Don't be teaching him that, But he is watching everything I am doing. So, and that's also got me thinking, I mean, God gave me Jake, and and he's watching what I'm doing.
Yep.
So what I'm doing needs to be something that God would improve of.
Right.
Approve of.
And that years down the line, you don't want to look at your son and go, where did you pick that up from? And he's like, like that old commercial, right? With about drugs. I learned it from watching you.
Yeah.
Like, man, that sucks. You think I broke my kid.
Yeah. Which Jake's my only son. I had all daughters, and which daughters, you're just in protect mode, and
Yes.
like all the boyfriends, you don't like them. It's my job not to like them.
Yes. I haven't had to worry about boyfriends yet, but listen, yes.
Yeah. Yes. And, which you're cordial to them, but, you're watching them,
Sure.
I got my only son. And, with Jake, it's just, like I walked the other day and stumped my toe. And he turns around and purposely stumps his toe.
Oh gosh!
But you don't do as hard, But he's just, if I'm working on something, he's there watching, and he stooped down and looking like he understands everything that's going on. So he has grew up in the shop, and I can't wait for him to have all this behind him, so me and him can get back outside and just. Cut down a tree or something, just, do something because he loves mechanical things, just watching them work. So,
That's awesome.
Everything I do, he wants to be right there beside me doing it. So
That's awesome. And, the nice thing with the show is, that we don't get a lot of people watching, but the people that are watching, I think, are believers. And so you're going to have a lot more people praying for you and praying for Jake and just praying that you guys get to do those things soon. Go out, cut down trees and putts and do the things that fathers and sons want to do together, and annoy your wife.
Oh yeah. I say that's always the chief principle of every day.
Annoy your wife.
Yeah. Just find something to get under her skin. Yeah.
I mean, it's a love language, right? Like there's touch, there's words of affection, there's gifts, there's all the things. I think annoyance is a love language.
It is. I say, because if you're sitting around bored and nobody's laughing, then it just breaks the ice and starts the day off right. Some days all I have to do is wake up and she's annoyed. So.
Is that because you snored the night before? Because I've done that.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. She lets me know when I snore. That's a good thing about your wife is she'll let you know everything you do wrong. So you can always be in a state of constant improvement.
And the other thing is they will let you know, but so you can improve. Not just because I hate you, but I mean that's what you want, right? That's what I want out of a partner, and my wife is that she wants me to be better than I think I can be. If that means like I got to figure out how to stop snoring, well then, usually what that means is I went over my weight threshold. If I get to, when I hit 180, I snore, and so if I'm under that, I'm good. So usually maybe that's her way of telling me that I put on some weight, is to say you snored last night, maybe no ice cream for you today.
Yeah, I say I always drop my weight before school starts. I get down to even 200, and
Okay.
then I'll pick it back up once school starts back. So because you go back to eating fast food and not
Yeah.
doing
All
as
the
much.
stuff.
So, yeah.
So how do we bring attention to pediatric cancer and what's happening with that? What does that look like?
It's well, it's I say I'm going on information that the doctors told me, but all the hospitals share information with each other. They share research. So St. Jude, MA Ford, Batson, and Jackson, where he's at, they're sharing their research and findings because only 4% of research dollars go to pediatric cancer.
Okay.
And it's a case. There's a lot more adults than there are children, and
Sure.
a lot more adults with cancer than children. But um, I personally think we need to do more because a child is young and healthy. There's no reason in 2024, for a child to be dying of cancer. When a lot of times, we have stuff we can do to research it better. Which we found cures for a lot of things, which there may not ever be a cure for cancer. It's on a cell level, but treatments, but one of the best things that the average person could do that I had no idea that this even happened is these children hospitals at every turn, every time they give them a stick or IV, they call it ouchies. When that's over with, somebody's there waiting for them to give them a toy. They got a toy out of a basket to make them feel better. And so one day I asked, I said, "Where are all these toys coming from?" Mostly parents that had a child here come donate them.
Wow.
So if you have a children's hospital near you, it don't have to be an expensive toy. I mean, just anything, just makes those kids feel a little better. And we have a tremendous collection of toys for Jake now, and most of them have came from the hospital. So we do, we ask, when people say, well, what kind of toys like, please don't send any more toys. He doesn't have a place to put them right now, which I'm working on. Jake's going to have his own bedroom when he gets back, and that is from people on LinkedIn that sent everything he needs for it, which I'm doing the work. But donate to those hospitals, donate time. They ask for volunteers. There are therapy dogs. They bring dogs through. That the kids can pet, and go up there and see what's happening. You may run into a 12-year-old kid that knows he's dying, and his biggest concern is his family.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to talk about seeing God's love, that's the place to see it.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. We, my daughter, it's nothing. It turned out to be nothing. It was great. She went to, when she was younger, this was years ago, she had a regular eye appointment. And while she was at the doctor said there's something wrong with her eye. It wasn't dilating properly or something was happening.
Mhm.
And they said that we need to rush you to the hospital. Like this is severe. You have to go to the hospital. So she went from the ophthalmologist to the immediate care to Lurie's Children's Hospital via ambulance. We were there overnight for observation. We did all the tests. We had all the things. And I remember thinking, like, I don't want to be in this hospital. Like, I don't want to. I'm glad we're here because it's the best place to be. It's the best hospital for children, but I don't want to be here. Like, this is horrible. And it was a thing. And then we had people praying for us. The next morning when they did the tests, they couldn't find anything, and she's never had an issue since. Was it a fluke before? Was it a miracle that God worked and healed her eye? I don't know. I don't want to know. It's back to what I said before, but man, these hospitals, they give so much love to these kids and they just pour it out, and it's amazing. And so, if you're watching, we've had some people click on the QR code to go to the GoFundMe page. Like I said, all that money is going to Jake and Brian's GoFundMe. so they can get the house ready and do everything that they need to do for Jake. It has nothing to do with Alliance. It has everything to do with the Warren family. But if that's not your thing, then yeah, man, find a way to donate some toys to the hospital or volunteer and just pour into kids, but only if you like kids.
Yeah.
Like, do not volunteer because you feel guilty, but you don't like kids. Don't do
Yeah,
that. That'll
yeah.
be miserable for you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
if that's
yeah.
what you're going to do, just go buy some stuff and bring that in.
Just
That's
send it up there. But I'm saying you will see kids with amputees, just abnormalities, just all kind of problems going on. But you're gonna see kids smiling, and you're gonna see nurses that genuinely care. I mean, they know those patients. Um, Nobody calls Jake in the hospital. They all call him Bubba because they thought he looked like a Bubba, and so there's always this little welcome board when he gets to his room, and they try to make it as much like home as they can. But it says, welcome back, Bubba, and it's got his objectives, for what they want to get done before he gets discharged. And of course, he's 3, he can't read any of that, but they make him blankets and pillowcases, so Bubba has stuck. So he goes by Jake or Bubba now.
Well, good for Bubba. That's awesome.
And, so they truly care for him.
That's awesome. All right, you ready to do 5 questions?
Sure thing.
Jack, we got some music?
Oh boy.
Or we don't need the music today. We'll be okay unless you want to play the music.
I mean, my computer's been a bit slow.
All right, well, let's see.
Question 1.
We go to question 1. All right, question 1. You have a free vacation. Would you rather go to Disney World or Universal Studios?
Universal Studios.
Why? That's my question.
Never
I know
been
my
there.
answer.
Yeah, I say I've never been to Universal Studios. A lot of political stuff has went on with Disney the last couple of years, and I don't know if I'd really want to take the kids there right now. So
that's fair.
Do a little research into it. So.
That's fair. We did both a couple of years ago during COVID. We decided that we were going to get out of Dodge, and we went to Florida. It was amazing. They let in a third of the people. The park was totally empty, both for Disney and Universal. Every time you got off a ride, they had to wash it with sanitizer and stuff. So it was the cleanest, least populated parks that we could ever have. But for the longest time, I thought Disney was like the epitome of experience, and Universal, in my opinion, has put a hurting on Disney something fierce. And the political stuff aside, I would agree with you. Universal all the way. Let's see. Question number 2. What is the most non-common animal that you would like to have as a pet?
A goat.
A goat.
A goat. I say those fainting goats. I can sit and watch those videos all day long.
You would just walk around and scare the hell out of that goat all the time.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And plus, if I could figure out a way to fence him in, I would never have to cut the grass in my backyard again.
I mean, you could probably figure out how to fence him in. I think, you're a smart guy. You can figure that out. You come home, here, picture this. You like practical jokes with your wife. She comes home from the hospital with Jake, and the yard is fenced, and you got a herd of goat just grazing in the backyard.
That would be awesome.
What's her response to that?
Yeah, probably some colorful language. Yeah, we have a lot of snakes around our house, and being from she tells you she's a country girl, and she's from the Cajun country. She is petrified of snakes.
Yeah.
So
they're evil.
Yeah. So I had this black bungee cord that maybe looked like a snake, and I told her, hey, I just killed this snake. I'm bringing it in. You look at it. And I brought that bungee cord in and threw it on her, and she didn't speak to me for a week.
I think if you lived in Illinois or I lived in Mississippi, I think we'd be best friends.
Yeah.
Question number 3. You can select one hand combat weapon. Up to what animal do you think you could defeat in a fight?
So talking knives or sword.
Knife, sword, brass knuckles, nothing that actually fires.
Oh, okay. So, um, well, I know for sure that I could take a dog with a knife if I had to. So, um,
The fact that you know that for sure means there's another story.
yeah. I say uh, aggressive dog got I was in some place I shouldn't have been out on a dark country road in the middle of the night as a teenager. Uh,
So the statute of limitations is worn off now.
yeah, maybe sneak into somebody's house to pick them up or something. And I'm walking down this road a long way from the house, and a dog comes out and grabs, and I cannot get away from him. And I put my arm up, and he clamped down, and I punched with the other arm, and I figured, hey, dogs are real vulnerable in the ribs, so he let go. So yeah, if I'd had a knife, it'd have been over for him.
Now, what kind of dog was this? Was it like a Shih Tzu?
Oh no, it was probably out of some kind of Mississippi mutt.
All right.
Yeah. But he was biting at me, but I got away from him. So.
All right. So at least a dog. And what would be your weapon of choice?
Man, I love my tactical knives. I got a little collection of them, and I always have one with me.
Right.
So I got a Smith and Wesson, but I don't own a pair of brass knuckles or anything like that. I do have some SAP gloves, which are weighted, tactical gloves. So, but luckily I've never used them on anything but a punch bag. So
Well, that's good. We used to have a guy that worked for us. I thought it was crazy. He thought that he could fight a chimp and win, and I just had to tell him, like, you are wrong. Like, I'm questioning everything that you say from this moment forward. Like, a chimp will rip your face off and not even care.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to tango with one of those.
No. Kathleen Burley is still watching. She says fainting goats are pretty cool, though. One of our salesmen just bought 2 for his daughter. So there you go. She can tell you where to get them.
Oh, yeah.
Question number 4 for you here. We got who inspires you and why?
My biggest inspiration through my life that made me into what I am is my dad. And my dad had a bad childhood. He was orphaned. I want to say around 14. He was left with some relatives, and nobody ever came back for him. And they really didn't want him there. And he had to drop out of school in Hall Puckwood and make it on his own from then. And but my dad is the nicest person that you will ever meet. He's friends with everybody. Can't go anywhere with him. He's going to have to stop and talk to 15 people. And and he is on Social Security now, but he's still working because he still enjoys working, and he still he plays music on Tuesday nights, and he sings in a church, and they go out and do concerts, in nursing homes and different churches. So they'll practice on Tuesday nights, go play on the weekend, and he just does not slow down. And some of our, I think all of our big fundraisers for Jake, he organized and did it, and he got it set up through and he's a member of every organization and club in town. Knows as many people as I know from on LinkedIn and online, he knows that many in real life,
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's just, and he's never negative. No matter what's happening, he's like, all right, we're going to get through it. We're going to, it's going to be all right. And, so I hope when I'm in, up my 70s, that I can have his energy and vigor for life like he does. Because he hasn't slowed down one bit, and he doesn't have a gray hair on him. Yeah. People accuse him of dyeing his hair, unless he's not telling me. He's youthful. He's been a big inspiration to me throughout my whole life.
That's awesome.
He's taught me a lot of life lessons, and did not let me be lazy as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
It's summertime. You're not going to sleep all day. You're not going to stay out all night. You're going to get up and find something to do.
Yeah. One of the rules my dad had for me, he bought a house and had a pond in the back, and it had a lot of yard work that needed to be done. And one of the rules that he had was, it's your job to get up and come outside and ask me if I need help, and it's my job to say no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But there were some times where I would come out and be like, Dad, do you need help? And he's like, yes, go change.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's not that deal. He's like, I'm sorry, I really need your help today.
Yeah, I think when I was around 8 or 9, my mom said I need to help him cut the grass, and I couldn't push the mower. It was tall, and I couldn't do it. He said, "Here, son, let me do it. And figure out something else you can do."
Yeah.
But nowadays, like he's like, "Hey, come bring your mower over. So come on, the grass needs cutting." So, and I'll tow it over there and cut the grass for him. So.
That's awesome. Michael Cheney says he would have chosen a sword because it's got a longer reach.
Yeah, I say, but sometimes I like to be up close and personal.
Yeah, there it is. Plus, some of those swords are really, really heavy. You get one swing. If you miss, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, you could break it. A lot of things could happen. But I say, if you're gonna fight, get right in their face and fight. Yeah.
See the whites of their eyes, huh?
Yeah.
Get some of that spit and drool all over you.
Yeah.
It's good. Last question. If animals could talk, what would be the rudest and why?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think cats.
I laugh because everybody's the wrong word. 90% of the people I ask that question to say cats, and yet people still own them as pets.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't either.
Yeah, I say I know some folks that have cats. They just look at you like they'd kill you if they could. So
yeah, they don't want to be there. They have no interest.
Yeah, I say we got this little dog. He's so happy when you come in. And I've seen. My daughter had a cat, and that cat could care less if you ever came back.
Yeah, they don't like you.
Yeah.
They just want you to feed them, and they don't care. They don't care at all. They don't care at all. So, Brian, how can what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? If they want to know, more about what you're doing in class, or if they need some ideas of how they can do the same kind of thing, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
The only social media I have is LinkedIn, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn or send me a message. You can also find my email address. I don't know if you have a way to put it up, but
yep.
So my email address through work is published on Brining Community College's website. And I don't mind. The last 4 or 5 years, I've been mentoring a lot of new instructors for machining in different states, and I don't mind sharing files, lesson plans. Anything I have, I'm gonna share it. I'm less than 2 years before I'm available for full pension, and due to the economic situation, I'm going to have to take it. It's not that I'm tired of teaching, but being able to be under 50 and start a second career while drawing a full retirement check is going to be the best financial sense for us to do. So
of course.
So I mean, I'm not in competition with any other programs or anything. I don't mind helping, which if your program is plumbing or basket weaving, I can't help you much with technical information on that. But if you're teaching a machining program, I would be glad to share with you anything I have, anything I've made, because all I want to do is see the next generation and see this trade get elevated and continue to grow and bring more people in, because some of the best are aging out right now, and and we gotta find replacements for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that it seems to me that more and more of the next generation are interested a little bit in manufacturing. That idea of people have no idea how things come to be. Where does this phone case come from? Where, how does this get made? And I think that level of creativity is coming back a little bit, where people want to know these things. People, I think a lot of students that are graduating high school now, they're tired of computers.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack has told me that a long time ago. Like, I don't want to sit and work on a computer for the rest of my life. Like, I don't want that to be my job. That's boring. And I think, with everything that happened with COVID and homeschooling and online classes and everything else, it's burnout. It's computer burnout.
Oh,
And,
this Canvas and Blackboard burnout is a real thing. And it's been particularly since COVID. I say my daughter's school is still having virtual days, and the kids, yeah. I don't get it why, but I guess because you can still count attendance on those days. But it's just if I had to be a classroom teacher, I wouldn't have made it 1 year. Being able to go out into the shop and do things with your hands, and be able to think and figure out, solve problems that are tangible or actually in it. But when recruiting, if the recruitment event is in the gym and I got to stand at a table with a couple little cards to hand out, I'm not going to get very many students. Sure. But if the recruiting event is bringing them around and they get to come in and see the shop and see the machines move, I'm going to get all those students. And that's because people want to do something. And if you notice, as a society, we are becoming less and less able to do things. We've exported so much talent and knowledge out. Now I see grown men on the side of the road, the car broke down and they're on their cell phone. They don't even get out and pop the hood,
Now, listen, I can handle that. I can get out and pop the hood. After that, I'm basically useless.
But I say, these skills, we can't let them go away. Right. And we got to pass them down. And I think I agree with you. There's a thirst for makers again. This maker movement. We have these maker fairs. People want to build and not everybody's going to want to do machining, but there's automation, there's laser, all kind of stuff you can do.
Well, I mean, you look at it, and Lego is one of the best selling toys ever. And it never stops, and they keep making more things. And you have adults buying Lego, and you have kids, and you have girls, and you have high school students. And you got everybody buying Lego, and it's a real thing where people like to make things with their hands. They like to create. They like to build.
That's actually been one of our projects in here. Is made some aluminum Legos.
Really?
Yeah.
I just think it's a shame because people don't know that there are so many jobs and opportunities to do these kinds of things. Mm-hmm. And so as somebody that owns a manufacturing company, I am beyond grateful for the amount of work and effort that you put into the community and the students. Do you know this guy? What's his name? Tyler Bearden?
Yeah. Tyler is one of the good ones. I mean, he is. He come in from day one and is a hard worker. Now Tyler's probably about 18 or 19 years old. Somewhere in that age. But he's got the mentality of a 40-year-old man. Yeah, he wants to get the job done. He wants to learn. And we gave him the opportunity last year. So, hey, you want to come in every morning with the second year and help us get the machine started up? And he was here every morning helping. So now, he's going to have a jump start on everybody else.
Well, he says Brian's done a great job promoting that program just by demonstrating. That's what sold me. So you got a fan, and you got somebody that's in your corner, I guess. So that's good. Mm-hmm. So as we said, we still got some more people watching, which is awesome. Thank you for sticking with us to the end. We do a prayer at the end of our show. So if you are out there and you have any prayer requests at all, go ahead and put those in the comments, even if it's the only comment that you made today. Put those prayer requests in the comments below. Brian, anything else that we need to cover that we didn't cover already?
I know. I say we covered a lot, and I say I hope I didn't ramble on too much and lose too many viewers for you. But I say when it get I say there's so much to talk about. We could sit here for 3 hours doing it.
I don't disagree. I used to think like, how does Joe Rogan do like a 3 or 4 hour podcast? And it's just like if you get interesting people and you start a conversation, it just keeps going.
Mhm.
And it's great. I mean, I thank you for your heart and for just being open about all the situations that you're going through and sharing what's going on with Jake and just letting us get to talk to you and get to know you a little bit more and what you're doing with the program and everything else. So I'm assuming that you have prayer requests.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. For my son Jake, for my wife and my daughter. It affects all of us. But she's there while I'm here at work. She's in that room with him, and she does not leave his side till he leaves that room.
Yeah.
For the 5 days, 7 days, however long his stay is going to be, she's in there with him the whole time. And and my daughter, she's going through a hard stage. Teenage years, just turned 14, and she's worried about her little brother. She misses her mom, and she's suffering through dad's cooking.
What is Dad's go-to meal?
Hamburgers and
Yeah.
fire up the grill a lot. If it's a piece of meat, I can grill it, and
Yes.
and I can definitely throw some fries in an air fryer. So she's looking forward to her mom when she gets back. To get a little something different to eat. But with me, it's going to be grilled or smoked meats.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's not like you said ramen. I mean,
Yeah.
you're cooking. I mean, this is gourmet stuff.
Oh yeah. In breakfast food, you can't go wrong any time of the day or night. She loves bacon, so I love bacon. So we get to switch it up a little bit, but my grill is definitely getting some use.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm gonna pray for us real quick, and then I'm gonna let you go because I feel like we've taken up enough of your time today. But once again, I'm gonna say, if you're listening, if you do watch this later, think about what's going on with Jake and kids in this situation. And if you'd be so kind to make a donation to the GoFundMe page, that QR code is on there. We'll probably put a link in the description of the website, in the description on YouTube and everything else. So people will be able to find that for a really long time. And what's great is, if you're wondering what this is looking like, and this is the first time you heard the story about Jake, listen, if you follow Brian on LinkedIn, you get to know what's happening with Jake, and you might get to see him in a bathing suit doing a calendar. And really, isn't that what we all wanted to learn today?
Yeah. I'll say that was a tidbit for the masses. So.
And if it comes to fruition, you're going to be able to buy a spot on Brian's butt where you can put your logo on that calendar, and it's going to be one of the hottest calendars the country has ever seen. So stay tuned for all that.
Hey, I'm going to be just like NASCAR. There's not an inch not for sale.
All right, I'm gonna pray before this takes any weird turns. Turns. We've got. I mean, we talked about some stuff today. So let's get serious for a second and just pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to Brian and get to know him and his story. Thank you that we could use this as a moment to learn about Jake and learn about pediatric cancer and learn about all these things that are going on in our lives that maybe people are struggling with, that they don't feel comfortable in sharing. And God, we just ask you to give them that cover, give them that confidence that there are people out there that care about them and that want to be the hands and feet, because you're not physically here with us, so we can do that for each other. And so we just thank you that you gave us this opportunity. We thank you for the stories and all that Brian is doing and pouring into these kids and the lessons that he's teaching them, not just about CNC and machining, but about life and what it looks like to be a parent and a husband and a man who cares about his family. And so we just ask that you would watch over Jake, that you would watch over his sister, that you would watch over the doctors and the nurses, and over Brian and over his wife, and that we could take comfort knowing that you're in control of these things, and that this story will bring you glory. Thank you for our wives who, we joke that they keep us in line, but they do. Thank you for the fact that you gave us helpers that are amazing at what they do, and that love us, and that we can love them back. And God, I hope this couple hours was able to bring you glory in some way, and we praise you, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Brian, thank you for that time today. Thank you,
Thank you.
for being my new internet friend. One of these days, hopefully, we can connect in person, and it'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
But really, thank you for all that you're doing for the community and for the industry, and helping to grow that. We need more instructors and guys like you to be doing those things for the students that want to learn more. So,
well, I'll say I appreciate everything, and I appreciate you having me on.
All right, buddy. Have a good day.
You too.
All right. Well, that was a very full show. We talked about everything. We talked about Matthew McConaughey's dad dying through sex. We talked about pediatric cancer. We talked about machining. We talked about classes in college and finding your way and really everything. So I hope that you were able to find some joy and humor and get something out of today's show. And if you did, we would love it if you could pass that on. If you could follow us and like the show and subscribe, that would be great. And then you never have to miss an episode. You get to see everything that we're doing week in and week out. And we have some amazing things coming up that you're not going to want to miss. Justine Ewald from the TMA and I have started a new series that I think you guys are going to love. Basically, there's going to be some stuff coming out soon. Basically, it's us exploring what manufacturing looks like in Illinois, the who, the what, the why, and what it actually takes to work in these facilities. And so that's going to be a thing that you're going to start seeing real soon. We're really excited about it, and you're not going to want to miss those or any of the podcast episodes that we have coming up. So go ahead and like, subscribe, all the things, get your notifications, do those so that you never miss a Manufacturing Alliance presentation. I think that's about it. I think we're on record, longest show ever, which is good because we had a great guest and a lot of information and some important stuff, whether it was the stuff about manufacturing, but more importantly, the stuff about Jake and how God can use all these things to transform our lives. So just remember, in the end, God wins. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care.